A very good morning. I'm glad you're still with us here. You find me fumbling and going through what is no doubt a very elaborate presentation here, described as a roadshow presentation by the telecoms company Airtel Uganda, in line with the launch of the IPO on the 30th of August. There's a lot that is going on, including the opportunity to be able to be part of Airtel Uganda. As an owner, you can buy some few shares and ensure that you become effectively a rich man. When I talk about that, I think I'll have your ear. Everyone wants to be rich. Airtel IPO is the conversation in our Take Note. I have two gentlemen with me here who are going to help us understand what are these IPO things. What should I do if an IPO has been launched and availability of shares has been fronted? How much must I pay? And if I pay and buy these shares, at what point do I begin taking my dividends and beginning to count myself as, well, a managed investor? I would like to welcome Mr. David Bateme. He is Deal Origination and Head of Research at Crested Capital. I also have with me Mr. Mulungi Seruo, Head Debt Finance, Corporate and Investment Banking at ABSA Uganda. Let me begin with the man from Crested Capital. The Airtel IPO, we were supposed to hear from Airtel itself first, but we shall, of course, be doing that a little bit later, hopefully. If you don't mind, take us through what this IPO is, but generally, what is the whole understanding around the purchase of shares in companies that get listed?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
As already said, by name, I'm David Calvin Bateme. I work with Crested Capital, a stock brokerage firm. And the Airtel IPO basically means an initial public offering, yes? Initial public offering, and it's basically the very first time a company is listing its shares to the public, yes? So Airtel has never sold its shares to Ugandans. So this is the very first time they are selling it. And this is in compliance. We remember there was a cabinet paper that said all telecom companies have to go public. That's and by going public is giving ownership to Ugandans. So Airtel has come out and said, yes, this is the time. You can be part of us, not as just as a customer, but now as a shareholder and owner of the business. Okay. So basically, if I may indulge myself into the details of the IPO, the IPO started on the 30th of August, and it will end on 13th October at 4 p.m. It's very crucial for people to understand that it will end at 4 p.m. Okay. And don't come later than 4 p.m. 5 p.m. Your application will not be taken that time. You know, in an IPO, unlike the secondary market, we shall be applying for the shares. Okay. And it is simple to apply for the shares. Just *185 *85 hash. Even you with any phone you own, you can do that and apply. And the minimum number of shares you can apply for is 2,000. Even my touch. Why not? Okay. Why not? Airtel has been the smartphone network, and now it is the reason to imagine. So anything you imagine can be done. So *185 *85 hash is the code you dial on your phone, any phone. Put in your NIN number, and you'll be able to purchase the shares. But it's important to know that you don't just apply for the shares. You need what we call an SCD account. That is a Security Central Depository. Just as my colleague in the bank in ABSA will say, to bank with ABSA you need an ABSA account. So to apply for shares or partake in the capital markets, you must have a shares account, yes, or a securities account. SCD account. And also this with the same code, *185 *85 hash. Option 1 is apply for the SCD, and option 2 is apply for the shares. Okay. And you need a minimum of just 250,000 to become a shareholder of Airtel.
So what do you mean? 250,000? Yes. That is the
share price is 100 shillings.
Yeah, I was going
to say 2,500 shares as a minimum.
As a minimum.
So if you multiply that through, you get 250,000.
That's the max.
That's the minimum. The max, actually, if you can, it is 8 billion shares that are on offer. So if you have 800 billion, you will take 20%.
Bolonji is staring at me as if to say, hey, there you are. Yes. I ain't got that kind of money.
You never know.
You never know.
All right, let me come to you. When regard to IPOs and the opportunities they open up to the public to be part owners of firms or companies. Of course, on the outside of it, that's an excellent opportunity. Somebody would love to be a part owner. But what is the architecture of this ownership in terms of percentages? To the layman out there, if they are buying shares in this initiative that has been undertaken by Airtel, they would be quick to want to know what kind of owner am I going to become?
Okay. Thank you for that question. So basically, when you look at purchasing shares, like you put it, you become part owner in a business. Say, just as a simple example, assuming you started a business, a radio station, as yourself, and you have the expertise in running the radio station, and I think you're going to take this radio station somewhere. I don't have the expertise.
That's right.
But I have the money, the funds, I'll say. Here is the money. Have this is 10 million, whatever money I might have. Give it to you so you run with the business. That way, I've become a part owner in the business. And at the end of the day, the benefit to me is that I'm going to share in the profits.
That's right.
That you make. I don't have the expertise to run the business. You do. But I've given you funds that you can use to run the business. The same thing, I mean, there are people who are experts at running Airtel. They understand the business very well. The rest of us in the public space, I mean, at best we just consume the service. And what you're saying is there is an opportunity here for us to become owners, part owners in the business. The benefit to that is we share in the profits that the company has made. You might have read, I mean, for this particular offer, the dividend policy that Airtel has put out there is 95% of profits or retained earnings, whichever is higher. So as a shareholder, depending on the percentage of your shareholding, you partake in those profits that the business has made.
Okay. Interesting there. Before I ask some more specific questions, what is the landscape like when it comes to listed companies in Uganda?
Landscape, what do you mean by landscape?
Okay, I was at a broadcasting mindset I used in asking this question. When you look at this IPO coming on board, we've seen MTN as a result of that cabinet directive, but outside of telecoms, when a company is listing in Uganda, it becomes part of another group on the stock exchange, right?
Yes.
What is this stock exchange like right now? Is it profitable enough that you're going in, Airtel is going in? It's unfortunate we don't have the Airtel person here. But one would ask, is Airtel in it because it's a cabinet directive, or is it going public because there is money? Those are two aspects. So,
okay, thank you for that clarification. It's in it for a myriad of reasons. Of course, there's been a directive by government, by the Ghana Communication Commissions, for all telcos to offer 20% of their shares to the public. So that's also a factor, but as well, at the end of the day, the public generally benefits, I mean, when they become shareholders. Airtel is not listing to make money per se, because they're already a very cash generative business. They have sufficient funds to run their business. Typically, one of the reasons that companies might list is to get capital that they can reinvest in the business. In Airtel's case, as you might see from the financials, it's a very cash generative and very profitable business. So that was not like a need per se. They are well funded from their internal cash generation. So it's largely one to fulfill the requirements by the government and give the rest of us an opportunity to be part of a highly profitable company.
Maybe if I could maybe throw my light on that.
I'm a bit constrained for now, but you will be providing that perspective pretty shortly. Let me first go for a short break, and when we return, we will understand a lot more on this particular IPO, but most importantly, what is in it for you as a customer who has used Airtel services right from the time it was called Celtel.
You're watching.
All right, welcome back. We're glad you're still with us. We are talking the Airtel IPO, that is initial public offering when a company offers part of itself to the public so that you can also be an owner. In this particular case, Airtel is required by the government to be able to float at least 20% of the company for the public to be able to be part owners, and they've just done that in line with what other telecoms ought to do. We're now joined by an official from Airtel. Let me just throw it to you. We've already had a conversation about what IPOs are and what exactly this one is, but we haven't broken it down to the why of it. Airtel has come into it, myriad of reasons that were given by Mr. Mulungi before he departed. He has a business meeting to attend, but let me just throw it to you from Airtel, if you don't mind, name and designation.
Okay. Thank you, and thank you to all the viewers. My name is Michael Oponya. I work as Supply Chain Director at Airtel. Thank you for watching. Okay, just referring to your question, I think we're into the market, of course. One of the key things is that, you know, we have announced the intention to go public through the IPO, which I think my colleague had already discussed.
That's right.
So we are offering 20% of the company shares, which is 8 billion existing ordinary shares. So I think this is in line with the national broadband policy. It provides, of course, all the opportunity for Ugandan investors, okay, to participate in Airtel Uganda success in terms of the growth.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Take us through the process that somebody can be able to buy these shares on all available platforms or avenues of accessing that. It could be the phone, it could be physically getting paperwork and then handing it in. Just take us through that.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so so the retail investors, okay, the offers are, in terms of how you can participate, you can use Airtel Money, okay, and also the IPO platform, which you can participate in. And what you need to do first, you need to open an SCD, which is Securities Central Depository Account. Yeah. Of course, you go through our Airtel Money, which is star 185, star 85 hash on your mobile phone. So to open your SCD account, and then you can, once you're done, once you've opened your SCD account, and then you can use the same format to apply it for your shares. So to give you all the details of how you apply for your shares.
Okay.
Yes.
There's something about incentive shares. I don't know whether this question falls to you or him.
Yes.
Incentive shares.
Yes.
What is this?
Initially, you had asked my colleague Selu that what is Airtel in it? Yes. So maybe
because government wants it to be there, or
is it a requirement?
Because of the profits and the money in the business.
Airtel is highly profitable, that I can tell you. It's one of the biggest taxpayers in Uganda. Okay. If it's not the first, it could be the second.
That's a discussion for another day.
It's a discussion for another day. But see, when government made that directive, Airtel had an option to exit Uganda. Yes, we've seen companies exit Uganda. So they are not listing because because it's a directive. They are here. They have. This is, I could say, this is their home. Yeah, Airtel is available in about 13 African countries. Okay. Yes, and why leave Uganda? Yes. So, and also on the part of the incentives, the Airtel has said yes, it's a requirement, fine, but for every 100 you buy, yes, we shall give you 5 as an incentive. So this is showing that actually they want to give ownership to Ugandans. For every 100 you buy, they are giving you 5. And if you're using their MIPO platform, if you're going to use your Airtel line to purchase those shares, they're going to give you 6. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, and they have said that if you're going to buy between the minimum number, that is 500 and 18 million shares, they're going to give you 5. If you're going to buy more than 18 million, they're going to give you 10. And if you're going to buy more than 37 million shares, that is 20 incentive shares. So they are giving Ugandans a very, 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 very good incentive. And if you look at their dividend policy, yes, giving back 95% of their profits after tax back to shareholders is a big giveaway. So Airtel is not listing because it's a directive, but actually they did want to list and give ownership to Uganda.
That dividend threshold, is it internal, or rather generated internally, or agreed on internally, or it's also one of the directives that...
No. It's a policy. Every company has a policy on how their dividends are shared amongst their shareholders. And for Airtel, it's 95%.
95%.
Yes, 95% back to the shareholders. Yes.
Just in addition to that, in terms of how you can participate, we have 3 options. One, of course, through the Airtel Money, and one, of course, you can electronically use the Uganda Security Exchange Easy Portal. Okay, so if you go to Uganda Security Exchange Portal, okay, you find where you can actually participate in this, and of course you also have. You can also submit you can also complete and submit physical application form, which are contained in our prospectus.
Okay.
Of course, by any authorized selling agents.
Now, many times, initiatives or developments like these ones are very confined to areas where people are business savvy, the corporate world, and especially the urban centers, Wakiso and Kampala. Airtel does provide a service across the country.
Definitely.
How does the individual in Butaleja, of course they have a phone, it could be a very basic one, but they might not know how has Airtel rolled out news and knowledge about this to the rural person, so that they can also know that we have a chance to own this company.
Okay, so I think we are going throughout the country. It is not on a Kampala affair or Wakiso affair. On Friday, I was in Gulu on one of the radio stations. Okay. Of course, also taking sensitizing the people, not using necessarily the English, but also the local language.
Local languages.
So that people definitely go through the detail of how they can participate on the shares. It is for all the Ugandans, okay? Ugandan investors, you can participate. From Kisoro to Kapchora to Arua, it is for where we provide all our services. Our coverage is about 90.7% in terms of our coverage throughout the country. Okay. So we have customers around throughout Uganda.
All right, Mr. Bateme, how does this align itself to the national broadband policy?
Yeah, as we've been talking about the policy, that by cabinet, by the directive, that if with that coverage, all telecoms are supposed to come and list their shares.
That's right.
So by doing that, they are by Airtel listing, they're complying with their licensing objective.
Away from that, is there aspects after you've taken the paperwork and told government, hey, you wanted us to list, we've listed. The policy has aspects that, for example, lean on rural development. There is an amount of money. Is it 1%? The telecoms are supposed to give. 2%. Is it?
Yes, just to check that number.
Yeah, it should be 2% now. The last time I was reporting business news, it was 1%, and it was a huge sum of money that goes to improvement of facilities across the country, and that is in line with areas that you might be able to reach. For example, erecting masts that government cannot. And that is the whole alignment I was talking about. Anyway, in light of this IPO, I don't have a lot of time, but after all is done, at what point does one begin to expect some money?
Yes.
Because that's a big question.
Yes.
If you read the prospectus well, Airtel said that if you participate in the IPO, you're entitled to Q3 and Q4 dividends.
Quarter.
Yes,
Okay.
because a quarter is every 3 months.
Every
so
3 months.
this month, this quarter ending September, and the month and the quarter ending December. That's the last quarter. That's true for. So you'll be taking part of all the profit. You've not been part of the company.
Of course.
Yes, you've just bought into the company, but the Airtel is saying that okay, you've just arrived, but here you are.
Here you are.
This is your first dividend.
But
So I hope we are not giving away any business secrets here or trade.
Not really.
just last
It's
one.
all entailed in the prospectus.
So if, for example, I have my 750,000 Uganda shillings and I've bought in some shares in the first quarter, how much money does that come to in terms of dividends? Because that's what some people out there will understand.
That is always the magic question everyone is asking us. How much, how much, how much, how much? And you know, basically, the stock market is not for speculators. Although some people attempt to speculate, but company figures are real. Yes, the figures are there. It's not that you don't know what's happening. The figures are published every quarter. Yes. So if you look at the numbers, basically, if I could give you a snippet into what we predict as Crescent Capital, we are looking at a region around 7 to 9 shillings per share. So depending on how much you put in, because it's a dividend is paid per share. So the number of shares you own, you will determine how much determine the quantum of dividend you're going to take home at the end of the day.
But just key thing, I think for all the investors, the most important thing is we have a prospectus, which is on our website. You need to read the prospectus, okay, in detail, so that you understand how to invest and all the detail of what we have put in the detail in respect to the companies there. So it is advisable that you read the prospectus.
Okay.
And as stockbrokers, we are mandated to guide you. Yes, if you don't understand anything in the prospectus. As I said in the beginning, I work with Crescent Capital.
That's right.
We are located at Impala House, just opposite the City Hall. Yes, yes. So you can always just walk in. You see, our office is a walk-in office, open office. You can come in and we actually take you through the entire IPO process. Okay.
Lastly, if I missed the deadline, 4 p.m. What date?
It is
October 13th.
October 13th.
Yes, this is.
If I miss, can I buy shares from another person who has already bought in?
Because this is a primary market, yes, and now because on the 13th, that's when the offer will be ending. On 30th, we shall roll out messages and information of the location. Then on the 31st, the company will list on the USE main segment, and that's when the trading will begin. That's where the stockbroker and I come in, because that's my role to buy and sell for individuals. In
a sentence, your last word.
Okay, like I stated, I think we encourage all the Ugandans to invest in Airtel. Take the advantage of the 20% the company has, so that you also be the owner of the company. It's the fastest growing company in Uganda with significant market share.
All right. Michael Ponya, Supply Chain Director at Airtel, many thanks for the perspective, and many thanks to you too. David Calvin Bateme from Crested Capital, the guys who are going to help you understand where your money is going to be. Take a cent, whatever. Crested Capital says the IPO is pretty good. You can be able to go in. I'll be back with our Kickstarter. We are going to be talking analysis of the biannual reports of the Inspector General of Government to Parliament. Stay with us. We'll be right back.